Hello and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat. Today we're here to talk about Mariona Caldentey joining Arsenal. Big transfer, right, Harry? It's a big name, moving to a big club. Should be an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very good start to the transfer window for Arsenal, and if you're Arsenal fans, I think you can be very, very happy, because as you say, these are the kind of big names that Arsenal have been looking to bring in, and this one, I mean, is a brilliant, brilliant addition. Bringing in a player who comes with pedigree, who carries value in the women's game of being a top winner and a very, very good player. This is a big transfer for Arsenal, and I think, again, this is another one for Arsenal where it is a step in the right direction. It is a step towards challenging the elite sides.
Yeah, Arsenal being linked with all the right sort of people right now. We spoke about in this window Emirates already, Kira Walsh. Neither of those deals seem to be happening now, but Caldentey is one that has got over the line. It's a free transfer as well, so it's a win-win really. Either Arsenal, even if she plays badly, Arsenal haven't spent any money on her, and I can't see her performing badly. A brilliant footballer, it's going to be really exciting to see her in the WSL, but Arsenal making all the right sort of moves, and it feels like this summer, with Caldentey, it's a move that's actually happened. In the past, they've been linked with Ella Toon. That's never happened. They've been linked with Mary Earps. That's never happened. They're always linked with these big players every summer. But this summer, Caldentey getting over the line before we're even into July. Obviously, we'll speak about it now in July as it's announced. But before we're even into there, that's a really positive move for Arsenal, and I think a great signing. Talking about what she brings then, and whether or not she'll start in the first team. Do you expect her to be in the starting 11, or do you think she'll be... Because obviously she can play attack midfield, she'll play left wing. There's a lot of competition there. She's a very talented player, but does she get in over Ford, and does she get in over Kim Little?
I mean, it's a very interesting one, because I think for someone like Caldentey, I mean, first of all, you'd expect her to start, wouldn't you? She is a brilliant, brilliant player. Realistically, her name is one of the first on a team sheet in most sides. But also, you mentioned there the problem it does create for Arsenal. I think, for me, though, it is a pretty simple answer. I know that Caitlin Ford is a very, very good player, and on her day, she is brilliant and can cause any team problems. But last season wasn't a great campaign for Ford, and for me, bringing in Caldentey is an upgrade, and I don't want to upset our Matilda fans, but I think potentially we could see Ford drop to the bench, and I think most Arsenal fans would be okay with that, especially if Caldentey is going to perform, because for me, as I said, Ford coming into this off the back of not a great season. Kim Little as well, as you say, Caldentey could play attacking midfield. Again, that's an interesting one. I think Kim Little, again, it would be an upgrade in terms of ability, but we saw how Kim Little kind of glued that whole Arsenal front line together last season. I mean, we watched, watching them every single game, you could see a massive difference to when they tried to shoehorn Miedema, or when they tried to, who was it? Matt Friedman went in there. They played much better when Kim Little was in there. So I'll be nervous to drop her, but I think either way, if you start Caldentey over Ford or Little, it's a very reasonable decision.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's an upgrade. The other thing I was going to just put forwards is, could we see Little in a deeper role? Obviously, we know Victoria Pelova will miss most of this campaign with, of course, an anterior cruciate ligament injury. We hope she recovers as quickly as possible, but we don't think she'll be back before March time now. Could we see Little a little bit deeper? With Vouty in there, I think you still get that defensive cover. That could be something that really works. And then Caldentey in that attacking midfield role. The other player that, of course, Arsenal have been linked with is Hayley Russo. More of a right winger, could play both flanks, though. That's another really exciting option for Arsenal. And so, obviously, we want to talk about today, does this make Arsenal title challenges? But what else do they need? Or is this enough, is the question?
I mean, I think a front four of Ford, Russo, Caldentey and Mead is absolutely ridiculous. Like, that is one of the best front fours in the world. It would challenge up there with Chelsea's and City's front line that we've seen over the last seasons. I think defensively they're very solid. I think it's that same old question, Arsenal goalkeeper. They need a goalkeeper that they can rely on, because I think defensively Williamson and Wubben-Moy are brilliant centre-halves. McCabe, as much as she might like to use the dark arts a lot, and it's frustrating to be... I think if you play against her, it's annoying, but when you play with her, she's brilliant, and we know how...
I'd argue Steph Catley could even...
As well,
would be more likely to start on that side in the big Champions League sides. I think that's more reliable. You don't want a player that's guaranteed a yellow card in a Champions League knockout tie. Emily Fox, of course, as well.
Phenomenal.
Arguably the best right back in the world right now. Yeah. I think that could definitely be argued. But yeah, I think they're really good. Is Caldentey what brings the best out of Russo? Because Russo, good season with Arsenal, but not a great season. She was one of the top performers in the WSL the season before. Her debut campaign with Arsenal, it was a little bit slow. is Caldentey what unlocks her? Because they're not going to get Ella Toon. That was always theorised as that's how you get the best out of Russo. You bring in Toon, suddenly everything clicks. That's just not going to happen. I don't see her leaving, and if she does, it's going to be for Barcelona, I think.
Yeah.
So, is Caldentey what gets the best out of Russo?
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean, two reasons. When you bring in a player of Caldentey's quality, either you're going to force Russo to up her game, because if Caldentey comes in and takes it by storm, then there's going to be a lot of questions and pressure on Russo. So you force Russo to up her game. But also, if Caldentey's going to come in and play well, not only is she going to score loads and loads of goals, she's going to create opportunities for her teammates. She's going to create opportunities for Russo, and then Russo's numbers are going to be increased by that as well. So either way, I think bringing in a player of high quality like Caldentey means you're going to boost the rest of the front line in terms of their numbers, in terms of their form, in terms of everything, really.
Well, if we think about how Russo likes to play, a lot of that is back to goal type of work, so the ball comes into her feet. I think what happened a lot this season is either she hasn't got any options to pass to, because Miedemar in attacking midfield is not used to that role and isn't going to make the right sort of movement, or the player she does pass to it, then it breaks down after that. With Caldentey in there, you've got one of two things that's going to happen. Either she's going to be able to pick up that ball and then things buzz off her because she's a fantastic player, or with Russo dropping in, Caldentey has got that awareness, that fluidity from playing for Barcelona to make that run beyond. And if they can use that smart attacking positioning, that exchange between Caldentey and Russo, them flip-flopping around, them switching roles, could be really difficult to deal with. Because if you think about it, if you're a defender and Russo suddenly drops into midfield, and you're not going to pick up on that run of Caldentey, that's the defensive midfielder's job. Suddenly players are getting pulled out of position. Because either your centre-half is chasing Russo down a rabbit hole, or your midfielder's dropping onto Caldentey, or both happen and everyone's completely out of position. Either way, that could be really interesting to see how that works. I think Caldentey links up with other players really nicely as well. Again, that fluidity of her movement. We see her play for Barcelona, and you sometimes wonder if she even has a position.
Yeah.
Because she'll just drift around the pitch, and because she plays for a Barcelona side that is so fluid, people will pick up those roles. Now, that's something we could see at Arsenal. If Caldentey is to play on that left wing and wants to drift inside, not only does that make them much more dangerous in those central areas because you've got Caldentey pushing into there, but you've also got Katie McCabe, who's a fantastic attacking fullback.
Yeah.
And if they can make that work, some sort of situational back three with Emily Fox potentially, and then Wubben Moy and Williamson, that could be a really nice setup. So Arsenal, for me, Caldentey adds you a lot of tactical manoeuvrability and fluidity, and someone who is really talented, and obviously a natural winner. We've seen that. She's won title after title with Barcelona. She knows what it takes to get it over the line. And Arsenal looking to make moves. The one thing they've not done in recent seasons is by winners. They bought a lot of very talented players, but there is just something different about having that winning mentality, understanding what it takes to take a side from where they are now, third in the league, just off Chelsea and City, not able to get into the Champions League proper, to be competing at the upper table of the Champions League, and to be right up there for the WSL title. So Caldentey for me is a great addition. So obviously you mentioned goalkeeper for Arsenal as a positional deficiency. Could we see Daphne van Donster? Is that something that's still rumoured? It's definitely gone quiet in recent weeks, but Villa do seem to be preparing for her exit.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. Obviously, Villa under new management now with Depor. I don't know quite how to say his name. I think it's Depor. So it'd be interesting to see what he wants to do with that Van Domselaar. He might try everything to keep her. He might be happy to let her go. But either way, I think Arsenal, they need a goalkeeper. That is high quality, of Van Domselaar's quality or better. Because, I mean, as you say, if they're going to bring in players like Caldentey who get those, the reason Arsenal have not been in the title fight in the last few years is when it comes down to those big games, when they need to win them, they don't get them across the line. Or those big moments when they're 1-0 down at West Ham, rather than have players that could pull you back, claw you back, win that game and get you back in the title race, they didn't do that. That's what players like Caldentey do. That's what players like a high-quality goalkeeper can do, because maybe you don't go 1-0 down in the first place. I think we've seen how some of the best goalkeepers, Hampton, Keating, Earps, in just in WSL there. I mean, the amount of goals they can stop those three sides conceding, and that's massive, because Chelsea, they'll concede chances in the early stages of a game. If Hampton doesn't stop them, if Chelsea go 1-0 down, you don't know how that game ends up. So it's definitely... I think that has to be the main concern for Arsenal now.
I think I can branch off your point there of what I want to say. in that is Eidevall now the limiting factor? Because we've seen this season, at times, Arsenal really struggle to break teams down. And it feels like he's only got one thing to switch to, which is just to lob everyone up front. And I don't know if they've got a manager who is tactically inept enough to compete with Sonia Bonpasteur and Gareth Taylor. I don't think... Is Eidevall at that level yet?
I mean, this is
and if so,
it's an
is that the
interesting
limiting
one.
factor?
I think Eidevall has shown clearly over his time at Arsenal that he has. They've had their moments. You know, they've won Conti Cups. They've won a few trophies here and there. But yeah, it's that consistency over a league campaign. You know, that maybe is that. Maybe it's that knowledge to change when things aren't going well. I think my biggest problem with Eidevall is the team selection. He always seems to have got team selection wrong. Yeah. Should have played Russo when he played Blackstenius. Should have played Blackstenius, when he played Russo. Or he's put Little in there over. He's put Manham in there over Little. Shouldn't have done that. I think, and the amount of times we've seen Arsenal be 0-0 or 1-0 down in the game, and then he admits that he got the team selection wrong, brings on 4 players with half an hour to go, and they manage to turn it around.
And they play this 2-5-3, I think.
I mean,
like
he's brilliant at going for the game. If they're 1-0 down in a final or 1-0 down, but I don't get how you get the team selection wrong most weeks.
The Aston Villa game sticks out in my mind, where they basically there was 2 players stood at the back. I think one of them was the goalkeeper, and everyone else in the penalty area.
10 players for Villa, 1-0 up at the Emirates, and it worked. Arsenal scored 2 goals, but they shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that every game. Clearly, because they went 1-0 down to West Ham, they didn't. They threw everyone at that, and they didn't win that game.
You mentioned something quite interesting there as well. Aware of the time, but with the Emirates, does that add something for Arsenal? Because 100%. They are now expected to play most of their home games. Every game, isn't it? Yeah. So that's going to have a huge impact. We saw in the Chelsea game how that had a huge impact. We saw in the game against Aston Villa, as you say there, had a huge impact. Does that make them title challengers? Are Arsenal up there basically this season?
I definitely think so. On the Emirates thing, definitely. I mean, a couple thousand at Meadow Park is completely different to 60,000 at the Emirates. They've shown they've sold it out on 2 occasions now, is it? Maybe more. But if they do that for 11 games, that is a very different atmosphere from rocking up at Boreham Wood. It's incredible. That could be, for me, I definitely think Arsenal are up there. If they bring in a goalkeeper and they keep bringing in names like Caldentey, they keep bringing in winners with experience and quality, Arsenal are right up there, especially when... City, they'll be right at the sharp again. They look pretty solid. Chelsea are under change. This is Arsenal's chance, and I think they will be right up there.
Yeah, very true. And it's something I'm surprised more WSL clubs don't do. Because I get it for, the top sides. I get it with, Brighton. They're not going to sell out the Amex. And if they don't do high numbers, that's going to look a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And even clubs like Liverpool at the moment don't have the hugest turnouts. But for Manchester United, for Manchester City, for Chelsea... that's a huge source of revenue they're missing out on for no real reason, like maybe pitch condition and scheduling and stuff like that, but you'd be able to work around that. You can move games into midweek and stuff like that to accommodate for that. So I don't really see where the excuse is. I think that playing at the Emirates for Arsenal next season is going to be so crucial because we've seen how that home atmosphere can have a huge impact. I mean, that's amplified when the other teams aren't used to playing at huge stadiums.
Barcelona, best example of it. Sell out the Nou Camp most weeks, and there's a reason they win. I mean, there's obviously the quality on the pitch, but
it does help.
Champions League semi-final, second leg, you rock up at 80,000 at the Nou Camp. It's a bit different to 5,000 in a little village in England. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, very true, very true. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Arsenal this season. For me, it's absolutely mandatory that they get into the UWCL. If they don't do that, I think that's already a very... not a failure of a season, but that's a failure in that competition. And Eidevall will have to take the rap. I don't think it's going to get sacked, but that definitely goes across against him when they're getting to the end of the season and considering other options. I think that they've got to be in that competition. That's where the money is. That's where... the prestige is. They've got to be in that competition this season. As for the WSL, it's difficult, but I think they should be competing this season. Arsenal, they've got the players now. I think Eidevall's had long enough. It's his 4th season, right, as Arsenal manager? 3rd season, 4th season? 4th season, yeah. So there are no excuses now because you've got Taylor, who's been there just as long, or maybe a year less. You've got Sonia Bonpasteur, it's her first year in the role. Manchester United have Skinner, and he could be there a millennium and still not win a title. So I don't think there are any excuses left for Eidevall because he's got the investment. He hasn't got many injuries to face yet this season. Of course, he could get loads in October, and we'll then address that at the time. But at the moment, just pull over. There are no excuses left for Eideval. This is the season he has to make the difference.
100%. 100%. This is Arsenal's year. This is your time, Arsenal fans. This is your chance.
Should be a very good season. But yeah, we are now only 2-3 months away, I think, from the WSL starting on the 21st of September. I am very, very excited for it. Should be a fantastic season. We've still got loads of content to come up over the next few weeks. A reminder as well, we are now 2 weeks away from the qualifiers for the Women's Euros. We'll be streaming the England game against Sweden. Unfortunately, we can't do the Ireland-England game as we are actually going to go to it. But there should be some content out on the socials, and then we're into the Olympics. So we're getting close now to the start of the season, and obviously the transfer window. It's only just getting started, and it's already very interesting. So keep an eye on the channel for all content about that. But thank you guys very, very much for watching. Get involved in the comments down below. Do you think Mariona Caldentey makes Arsenal title challenges? Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.